Lita, thank you for that question. And so we work very closely with law enforcement, and if there's any identification or anything whatsoever that needs to be looked into, out of an abundance of caution, we automatically pull those personnel off the line and make sure that they're not part of the mission set. And in certain cases, we make sure that we get them sent home. But we're in very close coordination also within our organization. We're kind of a family in the National Guard. We grow up together, we work together, and we keep an eye on each other. And if there's any indications, we immediately address it through the chain of command or law enforcement, the appropriate level of agency. But I'm not concerned as a large part of our organization. If you look at 25,000, we've had 12 identified, and some of those they're just looking into. It may be unrelated to this. But we want to make sure, out of an abundance of caution, as I stated earlier, that we do the right thing until that gets cleared up.
Yeah, so Lita, I don't want to get into the actual vetting and what the partner organizations have found, but much of the information is, as the General mentioned, is unrelated to the events taking place at the Capitol or to the concerns that many people have noted on extremism. These are vetting efforts that identify any questionable behavior in the past or any potential link to questionable behavior not just related to extremism. But as General Hokanson mentioned, we're not asking questions right now. We're not asking questions of people who are flagged. We're, out of an abundance of caution, taking action and immediately removing them from the line of duty at the Capitol and the events taking place. And then we will address them, whether it's through law enforcement if necessary or through their own chain of command. But the point here is that we have the vetting processes that are in place. We also have, as General Hokanson mentioned, internal to the ranks as well. People have made it clear that if you see something, you should raise it. We are taking steps to ensure that there's no concerns. The American people should have confidence in the National Guard. They should have confidence in the law enforcement teams that are planning for this inauguration, ensuring that Vice President-elect or President-elect Biden has a safe and secure inauguration tomorrow. Okay, Jennifer?
Just to follow up on Lita's question, General Hokanson, you are confirming that there are 12 people who have been removed from National Guard duty. There are reports that 2 of those were linked to so-called right-wing militias. Are you confirming that as well right now?
All I would say with those 2 individuals is inappropriate comments or texts that were put out there. And as we stated, just out of an abundance of caution, we want to make sure that there's no issues at all and that those properly get looked into.
And just in terms of generically, in the future, will this be sort of a standard kind of, I mean, in the past, were you allowed to look at people's social media pages and things that they were texting, or is this new to this inauguration, or is this an ongoing thing that the National Guard has been doing?
So I'd have to defer to the FBI because they do the vetting once our personnel are here. But as I mentioned before, you know, we're a close-knit organization and we keep an eye on each other. And if anything doesn't seem right, as Jonathan mentioned, if we see something, we're going to go ahead and report it.
Those individuals come to Washington and were sent home, or they were not allowed to come to Washington?
In those cases, they were both here in Washington and are being sent home.
All right, we're going to move on. Helene Cooper, New York Times.
Hi, I'm still, I'd like to go back to the, continuing on with this 12. Are you saying 12 were removed because you have concerns of ties to extremist organizations?
No, that is not it. I think as General Hokanson mentioned, we have 2 individuals that identified had made inappropriate comments or texts. Those 2 individuals were removed. I'll note one of those was flagged by within the command. And then we have another group of individuals that have been flagged in the vetting process for a number of different reasons, like I said, unrelated to the events here and the concerns that most people have posited. It's a lot of looking back at anything that could potentially flag in a criminal history check, anything that could come up in a civilian database that's being scrubbed by our partners. We're just not, like I said, we're not taking any chances. Anything flags, there's any reason that somebody's name is brought to the attention of the command, they're being removed from the line. We'll ask questions later, and we will and can ascertain whether any action needs to be taken by either law enforcement or by their chain of command. But no, we are not saying that all 12 have been pulled for ties, I think as you characterize it, to extremists or militias. That is not correct.